C'est votre émission La Parole aux jeunes. La Parole aux jeunes aujourd'hui, c'est la parole aux jeunes, mais c'est également la voix des jeunes. Vous allez vite comprendre parce que c'est une nouvelle démarche, mais vous allez comprendre. Pas aujourd'hui, mais vous allez comprendre les gars. Aujourd'hui, nous avons une soupe d'anan, parce qu'au Sénégal, c'est comme ça qu'on dit. Une soupe d'anan est invitée, elle s'appelle Djoumana Hadj Ahmed, qui est la chef des adolescents en développement à UNICEF. Sobel va revenir pour faire aujourd'hui cette émission. C'est notre nouveau recrue sur Parole aux jeunes, mais il va représenter Voix des jeunes Social Change Factory. C'est votre émission La Parole aux jeunes. Donc je vais demander à Djoumana d'abord, est-ce qu'elle sait dire un mot en français? Je ne sais pas quel est le mot en français que vous pouvez dire. Djoumana. Oui, ça paraît bizarre parce qu'elle parle anglais.
Bonjour.
What else? J'aime Dakar.
J'aime Dakar.
Cool.
Oui,
alors,
j'aime Dakar.
Super, je vais laisser alors Sobel continuer cette émission qui va tourner autour de pas mal de questions, UNICEF enfants ou UNICEF adolescents. Et il y aura d'autres questions sur lesquelles Sobel va revenir. Et nous allons vous faire l'économie de ce que Sobel va dire et Djoumana en français dans quelques minutes. Alors on va passer le micro, il a déjà son micro à Sobel. Sobel Nangadef.
Magnifique, grand. Magnifique, Piti.
Cool.
Et je suis très très content d'être sur ton plateau et effectivement, c'est la voix et la parole des jeunes aujourd'hui. On est ensemble.
Allez, Sobel, alors à vous maintenant l'antenne, c'est vous le nouveau animateur, alors je vous laisse l'antenne.
Écoute, merci Mandiaye de nous laisser ce plateau. D'abord, je vais contextualiser un peu. À ceux qui nous regardent, nous sommes aujourd'hui aux Entretiens de l'Excellence. Les Entretiens de l'Excellence, c'est un événement qui réunit des professionnels de différents secteurs d'activité, de la banque, de la finance, du secteur pétrolier, de l'art, de la culture, de la science, de la technologie, de l'économie numérique, etc., qui donnent une après-midi de leur temps pour échanger avec des élèves, des adolescents, des jeunes qui sont dans des classes du collège ou du lycée et qui se posent un grand nombre de questions sur leur avenir et sur les différents métiers qu'ils pourraient faire dans quelques années. Et pour commencer ça, on a une visite spéciale aujourd'hui. UNICEF est partenaire de cet événement auprès de la Fondation Total et de l'excellence universitaire africaine qui nous reçoit aujourd'hui pour les entretiens de l'excellence et évidemment Social Change Factory que je représente aussi. Et on a une invitée spéciale aujourd'hui qui est Djoumana Al-Ahmed. Je vais faire la transition en anglais et donc on va faire un petit résumé dans quelques instants. Djoumana Al-Ahmed, welcome to Dakar. Welcome to Les Entretiens de l'Excellence. How could we translate that? Which is the meetings for the meetings of excellence. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Djoumana, it's a real pleasure to have you here. You have participated to the few activities we have done over the last hours with young people, with professionals. I know that the transitions of adolescents to adult age is something very important. To sum up a little bit, you are the Chief of Adolescence Development at UNICEF New York's headquarters. You are in Dakar for a big symposium on well-being for adolescents coming in next week, and you take the opportunity to visit us also today. Djoumana, over history, UNICEF has been known as an organization that was focusing on the well-being of children. And over the last decades, we start to see a transition or a complement of the interest of UNICEF also to adolescents and young people. Could you explain us a little bit why the organization is adding this mandate to the first mandate to take care of children?
Thank you very much, and thank you for hosting me on this program. And it was very inspiring this morning to see the young people interacting and inquiring about what opportunities they can tap into to have a productive and active future. So it was really a very interesting morning that I had. In relation to UNICEF, as you know, UNICEF is mandated by the General Assembly to promote the protection of children's rights and to support working with partners, government, civil society, youth-led organizations, the realization of children's rights on health, education, child protection, as well as participation. And UNICEF is guided by the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The Convention on the Rights of the Child defines a child as a child from 0 to 18. And adolescents are 10 to 19, according to the WHO definition. So adolescents are actually part of the mandate of UNICEF. It is not, it's not like UNICEF, it's changing its mandate, but what's happening is that UNICEF is accelerating its efforts, its programs that are addressing the rights of adolescents or teenagers, as we may say. And hence you have seen during the last years an increased work. There are around 1.2 billion adolescents globally, which is, some people refer to it as the youth bulge. We like to refer to it as assets and resources, as opportunities that we need to invest in, as these are the leaders of today and the leaders of the future. And that's a key principle for UNICEF's work in terms of acknowledging the resources and assets that exist within these adolescents.
That's make a lot of sense, and actually Africa knows his we talk a lot about demographic dividends, and yes, many people have some fear about the risk that these dividends could bring, and at the same time other people are very excited about the opportunity, as you mentioned, that the demographic dividends could bring. And I think, Jumana, you traveled all over the world and you have met adolescents from different parts of the world, and my question to you right now and is in terms of education and participations of adolescents, do you think that today they globally have access to the right opportunity to be able to access to decent jobs or build a decent future for themselves?
Thank you, Sobel, for focusing on this very important matter, and that is the education and preparedness for employability. I think it's also very important to look at what are the priorities of young people, and one of them is that, but also to look at some of the statistics which are alarming. As you may know, there are 200 million adolescents who are out of school, who are dropouts, who do not have a lot of opportunities to catch up for the learning that they have missed, but also to have access to opportunities that help them in building skills that would allow them to have a more prosperous and active future. So also I think we cannot talk about education and transitioning to school without looking at other relevant issues that adolescents face, such as child marriage. Until now, it is an issue that is concerning, especially that there are 1 out of 4 adolescent girls globally who are married before the age of 18. So the percentage is really high, and usually these adolescents drop out of school, don't continue their education, and they even get pregnant while they are still adolescents, which really deprives them from a lot of basic rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in relation to zoom into particularly education and preparedness for jobs, unfortunately, no, there are not enough opportunities provided for adolescents, and UNICEF is working closely with different partners, governmental, civil society, to emphasize and accelerate 2 areas particularly. One is retention and completion of primary and secondary education, but also provision of alternative learning programs for adolescents who have dropped out. And under this key result, what we're doing is, in addition to working with the government to improve the quality of education and to make the education more relevant to young people in terms of equipping them with the skills that they need to start their own entrepreneurship program or to continue their universities, but also have a job. So we're working on that with the different partners, but also we're focusing on alternative learning programs. Equity and most disadvantaged adolescents are priority for UNICEF's work. And in our interventions, we make sure to put in place the interventions with the partners that would address the needs of the most disadvantaged, like the ones that I have mentioned earlier, those who have dropped out, those who are working, those who do not have those opportunities. And the second area of focus for UNICEF's work is the preparedness and equipping the adolescents with the skills that they need. What do we mean by skills? Negotiation skills, decision making,
the soft skills.
The soft skills, or what is
skills.
called the 21st century skills,
yeah.
which unfortunately many of the schools, even if you complete your secondary education, the learning outcomes are not there, and many of the skills are not yet equipped with those skills. So we also work with governments, different governments and ministries of education to have on the curricula, on the pedagogy that is being used, to emphasize the focus on the skills and equip young people with those skills that they need. But we're also collaborating with other organizations who focus on technical skills, such as TVET. And others. ILO is a key partner for UNICEF. And that's where we're partnering with other organizations who will provide the opportunities also for the smoother transition for the adolescents from school into work and into job opportunities. So these are the two key areas that we're, of course, in addition to other programs that UNICEF is supporting on ending child marriage, adolescent nutrition, safety and protection of adolescents.
And actually you were talking about partnership, and I will come back to that very soon. But definitely adolescents today in the world, and mostly in Africa, are the ones that are in the higher risk in questions of migrations and radicalizations also. And most of them are young people that are out of school or that cannot have access to economic opportunities. So it's just to echo the question of having the right education for young people and a learning process that can really give them what they need to access to the market or being able to integrate the society that they are living. You were talking about partnerships that UNICEF is doing, and I know because I'm also part of it. I know UNICEF has initiated last year a new global partnership, a very ambitious initiative that makes come together actually more than 50 of the biggest players in terms of education, empowerment, and economic opportunities for young people under an initiative called Generation Unlimited. And its focus it's focusing to young people from the age of 10 to 24. And can you tell us why you believe that this one, because this is not the first partnership to tackle a global issue, but this one is a public, private, civil, youth, and everyone, every actors, every players in the same partnership. Can you tell us, in a UNICEF perspective that you are, why do you think that this partnership has the chance to make a difference on the life of young people that are facing all the challenges we are talking about in the world?
Thank you, Sobel. And on Generation Unlimited, I would first say that it is as important as other partnerships that are currently in place and that GenU will be working with and collaborating and aligning to provide increased opportunities for adolescents. So as you rightly mentioned, this is a partnership that UNICEF is leading the formation or creation together with other partners, such as the private sector, multilateral organizations, civil society organizations, and most importantly, young people themselves. And And this partnership, what it aims to do is really bring together all these partners together to look at issues relating to secondary age education, look at issues relating to preparedness for employability, entrepreneurship, transitioning from school to work, but also civic engagement and making sure that opportunities are provided for young people to be active in their societies. This partnership, I think, where is it powerful? It's powerful in the different partners that it's bringing together. Governments are key partners, obviously, in this platform. And what it aims to do is really help in identifying and leveraging action on innovations, interventions that have been successful. So GenU will play a key role in leveraging action, commitment from the different partners, resources to take these solutions to scale so that they benefit an increased number of adolescents and young people. And I think what is special also about this partnership is having young people at the heart of it. You are a member in the global board, so the partnership aims really to provide the space for adolescents and young people to influence and to steer this partnership in the direction that responds to their priorities and needs.
Makes a lot of sense. And to conclude, I will ask you something out of records, you know.
Well, that was not agreed upon, though.
Yeah, we did not agree about that. That's why it's out of record. But trust me. Okay, I will give you 3 things, and you will tell me what do you think would be the one that could bring some magic to achieve challenges. The first one is more money. The second one is more. I lose my word in English. It's more competencies. And the third one is more youth engagement. Which one of the three options for you could be the magic that could change and bring a strong advantage to tackle the challenge that youth are tackling or are facing today?
So I would respond by saying that youth engagement or youth themselves are the heart of it, meaning if we invest in them, then we are investing in them as adults, but also in their children. And if we manage to put that at the heart of our work, then the success would be generations after and not only this generation. So if we shift the way we work and have them at the heart and then mobilize the resources and the competencies that are needed to support these young people, I think we will be able to achieve. But if we invest only in the resources and only in the competencies and not have adolescents and young people as partners with us, the money and the competencies alone will not deliver what is needed. So I would put the young people at the heart of it rather than but the three of them are needed.
Definitely. But actually I love the way you explained it. And I think this is something that is very important today, that we can see the truth. It's like money can solve for a time. Human can solve for a story. If we invest on human capital, it's on different generations that we are investing. If we invest just on having more money to pay and be done at a small agenda, it's not sustainable. And I think what you say is just very complete about it. I want to thank you for your time, for being here and open your idea to us. Mandiaye, merci de nous avoir accueillis. Je suis sûr que ton anglais extraordinaire pourrait nous donner une belle conclusion de cette affaire-là.
He speaks very well.
You speak very well.
I'm just trying.
So, quel mot tu dirais à Jumana pour conclure?
You speak more English than I speak French. So let's put it that way.
I'm gonna try to speak fluently English like Sobel.
I'm not there yet, but it's okay.
Next time I'm gonna try to do it, but really thank you so much. I think that all the people who know or who listen this session in English and understand English have a good information and have rightly know to how we gonna do when I see Jumana, the Chief of Adolescent Youth in UNICEF. Maintenant, nous allons passer à Sobel. English is so fine.
English is over.
Yes, English
Thank
is
you.
over.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jumana.
We're gonna do it in French.
Oui.
Sobel, vous avez posé des questions à
Oui.
Jumana.
Oui.
3 grandes questions.
Oui.
Et la dernière question, je pense que c'était aussi de très belles questions
Oui.
sur qu'est-ce qu'il faut choisir parmi les 3 thématiques, qu'est-ce qu'il faudrait faire.
Oui.
Est-ce que vous pouvez revenir pour ceux qui sont en train de nous suivre en live sur les réseaux sociaux?
Oui, absolument.
En
On va revenir
français
dessus, mais je
sur
vais
ce que
surtout
Jumana a dit.
inviter Omar.
Ouais.
Omar Habib à nous rejoindre. Omar, je pense que Omar est à UNICEF.
UNICEF, exactement.
Il a une maîtrise aussi forte. J'ai mon opinion et mon point de vue en tant que commentaire sur ce que Jumana a partagé.
Tout à
Je
fait.
pense que la meilleure personne pour effectuer la traduction en respectant les différents points de vue
Points
pour
de
répondre.
vue.
Je vais te poser un peu ces questions
Ces
en
questions,
français.
ouais.
Voilà, ce serait Omar à qui je vais passer la parole. Mais d'abord, si tu veux, ce que j'ai compris de la réponse de Jumana, effectivement, c'est que, en fait, UNICEF n'est pas en train de transiter dans son mandat. C'est que son mandat a toujours été les enfants,
Celui des enfants.
parce que les enfants sont considérés jusqu'à 18 ans.
Tout à fait.
Mais il y avait ce qu'on appelle la deuxième décade,
Ok.
de 10 à 18 ans, qui n'était pas pris en charge nécessairement avec tous les besoins dont ils ont besoin pour effectuer leur bonne transition,
Ok.
et sur lesquels UNICEF a augmenté ses efforts.
Ses efforts.
Et donc, Omar pourrait revenir
Mieux
dessus.
expliquer sur ça.
En fait, ce que Jumana disait aussi, c'est que outre la définition de l'enfant qui est de 10 à 18 ans,
Ouais.
elle avait expliqué que l'adolescence est de 10 à 19 ans. Et que donc les deux étaient dans le mandat de l'UNICEF. Voilà. Et que en fait, ce n'était pas un effort nouveau,
Ok.
mais que c'était l'occasion d'accélérer et de mettre l'emphase sur l'importance
La seconde décennie.
de la seconde décennie et aussi comment dire,
La transition.
d'investir sur la jeunesse et de prendre en compte la question aussi de l'équité et de donner la chance à ceux qui n'ont pas aussi la chance d'être vus ou entendus et que le plus important, dans la dernière question que tu lui avais posée, elle disait que ce n'était pas l'argent ou plus de programmes, etc., mais que c'est vraiment de placer au cœur de tous nos efforts la question d'investir sur les enfants eux-mêmes, parce que c'est les adultes de demain, et en investissant en eux, on investit aussi sur leurs enfants, parce que s'ils ont les bonnes attitudes, les bonnes pratiques et les bonnes connaissances, ils feront des bons, on espère, on pense, et on parie qu'ils feront aussi des bons parents avec une société plus équilibrée, avec moins de voilà.
De
En gros,
disparité.
oui.
De disparité. Ben, merci Omar. Je pense qu'on peut dire que c'était notre instant UNICEF.
Tout à fait.
It was our UNICEF time. Jumana, it's a pleasure to have you here. Since we started to work together and collaborate, I really learned a lot actually from UNICEF about key issues of adolescents globally, because my perspective was only in Africa. Now I have more perspective at the global level, and there is some challenges that we are facing also specifically in Senegal, in Africa, and today having Omar here can also give us a deeper perspective of what's happening specifically in Senegal, and this is going to be the French transition.
Oui.
Thanking Jumana for your time here.
Merci Sobel. Je voulais aussi dire que Jumana avait bien expliqué que nous n'étions pas les seuls
Tout à fait.
dans l'agenda global là, concernant les enfants et les adolescents, qu'il y a beaucoup de
D'autres
partenaires
organisations.
et qu'on travaille et que l'UNICEF est un des partenaires qui a évidemment son mandat sur l'enfant
L'enfant.
et l'adolescence en général. Donc à l'UNICEF, bien sûr, nous suivons cette question, nous y accordons de l'importance. Pour nous, elle s'inscrit dans le Sénégal émergent, PAP 2, que le président de la République a mis en place et qui place la question de la jeunesse aussi comme une des grandes priorités, qui a été renouvelée d'ailleurs avec le nouveau mandat. Et nous avons une grande occasion cette année, c'est de célébrer le 30e anniversaire de la Convention relative aux droits de l'enfant. Le Sénégal a été un des premiers pays à l'avoir ratifié. Et c'est un texte juridique qui a été le plus ratifié au monde jusqu'à ce jour. Et donc c'est vraiment un texte qui est très important et qui a permis des grandes avancées en matière de l'enfance dans tous les domaines, la santé, l'éducation, la protection, etc. En 30 ans, le Sénégal a fait des grandes bons dans l'éducation, la protection, etc., y compris la participation des adolescentes à la question de la femme et du genre. Maintenant, ce sera l'occasion pour le Sénégal de se dire, voilà, pour ce 30e anniversaire qui sera célébré le 20 novembre, de se dire, après 30 années, quels ont été les domaines où nous avons été forts, jusqu'où le pays est allé, et maintenant, quels sont, dans ce monde changeant avec le numérique, le digital qui arrive, avec la globalisation en marche, et le Sénégal qui devient de plus en plus un pays émergent, quel rôle va jouer le Sénégal pour accélérer les droits de l'enfant et quels sont les défis qui restent. Et ce sera l'occasion pour donner la parole à des enfants et à des jeunes, outre les responsables du pays, bien sûr, les leaders religieux ou politiques et les mairies, mais aussi de donner la possibilité à des jeunes de l'intérieur du pays, de la capitale et des périphéries des villes, de dire leurs mots et de questionner peut-être le code de l'enfant, peut-être ce que le gouvernement veut faire dans les 5, 20 prochaines années pour l'enfance. Voilà, ce sera l'occasion cette année pour que les enfants participent davantage, outre le symposium dont Sobel parlait tout à l'heure.
Merci Omar, merci Mandiaye. Je pense qu'on va clôturer cette session.
Tout à fait.
Et préparer l'accueil des intervenants qui vont... Oui.
Je voulais dire aussi qu'il y a à peu près 1 500 000 enfants qui sont hors de l'école au Sénégal.
1,5 million.
Et le fait qui ont l'âge d'aller à l'école, mais qui n'y sont pas. Soit ils ont décroché, soit ils n'ont pas eu la chance même d'y aller. Et le fait d'organiser ce type d'événement que tu es en train de faire, le fait qu'il y ait un symposium qui réfléchisse sur la question aussi de l'employabilité ou d'autres domaines, d'intégration des adolescents pour lesquels Jouman est ici, qui est d'autres partenaires importants aussi, je ne pourrais pas tous les citer, soit là, et montre que le Sénégal est en train de s'engager aussi il a un défi énorme et il est en train de réfléchir à comment faire en sorte qu'il y ait un pont et des passerelles pour que ces enfants qui sont à l'extérieur du système d'éducation puissent pouvoir se rattraper pour se réinsérer. Et c'est un défi, mais je pense que le ministère de l'Éducation nationale le prend au sérieux et l'UNICEF l'accompagne dans ce sens. Et voilà, et la question du droit de l'enfant, bien sûr, reste toujours d'actualité. Et merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Non, super.
Merci.
C'était un bon moment.
Ouais, c'était un super moment.